Democrats are at it again, supporting far-right election-denying Republicans in the hopes of setting up more winnable matchups for themselves in November. It's a dishonest and dumb and dangerous strategy that could end up blowing up in their faces. But despite the criticism, including from some in their own party, they keep doing it. The latest is in Michigan's 3rd U.S. House district, which includes Grand Rapids, currently represented by moderate Republican Peter Meijer. This is his first term. Meijer, an Iraq War veteran, is one of 10 Republicans in the House who voted to impeach former President Trump over the January 6th riots. And his appreciation for making a politically perilous vote to join Democrats in seeking to impeach the former president, Democrats are trying to help his opponent in the GOP primary. Democrats have been running ads, like this one, to introduce Meijer's opponent to Republican voters.
John Gibbs is too conservative for West Michigan. Handpicked by Trump to run for Congress, Gibbs called Trump the greatest president and worked in Trump's administration with Ben Carson. Gibbs has promised to push that same conservative agenda in Congress.
Now, the ad is intended to actually ingratiate conservatives to Gibbs, who probably didn't have much of a shot, at least until Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee started raising his profile and airing ads for him. Meijer has spent more than $2 million on the campaign so far, Gibbs just $340,000. They have very different issues on different views on issues Democrats claim to care about a lot. Meijer has spoken out forcefully about January 6th.
I was there on January 6th. I saw police officers beaten, bruised, the vice president having to flee with his wife and daughter from a mob that was chanting, "Hang Mike Pence."
While Gibbs continues to try to relitigate the 2020 election.
There are anomalies in there, to put it very lightly, that are simply mathematically impossible.
The primary is this Tuesday, and polling has been scarce, but there is no doubt that Meijer is the Republicans' best chance to hold on to the House seat in November. Hillary Scholten is unopposed on the Democratic side. She lost to Meijer in 2020, but the state districts have been redrawn since then by a bipartisan panel. Polls from Scholten's campaign last month show her with a 2-point lead over Meijer, but a 9-point lead over Gibbs if they were to face each other in November. Now, we have seen this lowbrow strategy of Democrats promoting radical Republican candidates already potentially backfiring. In Pennsylvania, the race was considered Democrat Josh Shapiro's to lose. Democrats donated millions to help Doug Mastriano win the GOP nomination against the more moderate Lou Barletta. They succeeded. Now Mastriano's only trailing Shapiro by 3 points, which is within the margin of error. If Mastriano wins, Pennsylvania, a purple state, will have a proud election denier as its governor, who has discussed choosing his own slate of electors and potentially overturning presidential election results with the stroke of a pen. Democrats have also donated millions to radical GOP candidates in Illinois, Colorado, and Maryland. Meijer has spoken out about the ad supporting his opponent Gibbs, telling Politico, "I'm sick and tired of hearing the sanctimonious bull about the Democrats being the pro-democracy party." Seems like a fair point. It's not illegal. It sure is disingenuous. Joining me now is Adrian Hemond, CEO of Grassroots Midwest, based in Lansing, Michigan. He spent his career deep in Democratic Michigan politics. Thanks very much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right, so what do you
Appreciate you having me.
What do you make of this strategy for Democrats to try to boost the most radical Republican, in this case now in your state of Michigan?
I think it's colossally dumb. In addition to being a little dishonorable for the reasons that you just laid out, the district was redrawn to make it a lean Democratic district. They already have a very viable candidate who got pretty close against Congressman Meijer 2 years ago in what was then a lean GOP district. So it's not as though they weren't competitive in this district. I think you showed polling that showed her leading Congressman Meijer in this newly redrawn district. This is a dumb strategy. This is how Democrats ended up with Donald Trump in 2016.
Well, and that's sort of the point, is that they are trying to boost the most radical candidates possible because they think that they're more beatable in the general election. And considering how unpopular President Biden is, how much of a rout it may be in the midterms, Democrats are making an awfully dangerous bet here. You know, I'm hearing some Democrats now and some in the left-leaning media now coming out against this strategy. But so why do the Democrats continue to do it if even some of their own are saying this is a bad idea?
Well, you won't hear many elected Democrats defending this. There are a few. But, you know, the DCCC here, I think, has managed to outsmart themselves. You know, they need this money for the general election, right? The other thing that they don't need, part of what made Hillary Scholten competitive against Peter Meyer 2 years ago, is that she's Dutch West Michigan nice, just like him. And this just seems very greasy. Right? It's not the first look that you want to give voters going into the fall. You're much better off talking about why your candidate is more suited to represent this district, especially because it does lean D now.
Are the Democrats, do you think, ever going to be shamed into not doing this? Because every time I debate, and you and I aren't debating this, but in the cases where I do debate someone on this, what the Democrats say is, well, this is what the Republicans do. Republicans do this all the time. You know, if they're going to play dirty, we're going to play dirty. And then when I ask for specific examples of how the Democrats, how the Republicans are doing it in this campaign cycle, they're sort of usually left at a loss for words because it doesn't seem Republicans are really doing it a whole lot in this campaign.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm sure that there are instances of it, you know, that I'm not following in other states. I certainly haven't seen any of it here. But I think the broader point is, look, it is true that you get a better chance to win sometimes when you can get a more extreme candidate to face off against in a general election from the opposing party. But there's some downside risk there. Again, I go back to the example of 2016.
Yeah.
Right? This is how we ended up with a Trump presidency is, you know, there were a whole lot of Democrats that thought it would be a great idea to try to get him through as, you know, maybe the best person for Hillary Clinton to face off against. They might have been right about that, but she still lost. There's some downside risk.
Yeah. Adrian Hemon, thank you. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Coming up, thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.